In June 2020, a premier European technology company admitted that 1.9 billion euros had simply vanished into thin air. That company was Wirecard. It was a digital payments processor valued at $28 billion and a member of the DAX 30. The DAX 30 is a blue-chip stock market index consisting of the 30 major German companies trading on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. This disappearance was the result of a meticulously constructed, decade-long financial illusion that successfully bypassed the scrutiny of global regulators. To understand the collapse, we must reverse engineer the fraud. We will examine the specific accounting loopholes used to fabricate profits, the watchdogs who protected the executives, and the journalists who risked their own safety to expose the truth. The rise and fall of Wirecard proves that in modern finance, unquestioning trust and technological hype can effectively camouflage a global criminal enterprise. The architects of this massive corporate ascent were Chief Executive Officer Markus Braun and his enigmatic Chief Operating Officer Jan Marsalek. Wirecard had humble origins. Founded in 1999, the company survived the dot-com crash by processing credit card payments for high-risk clients, primarily online gambling and adult entertainment websites. By 2005, they sought access to public capital. Instead of facing the rigorous financial audits required for a traditional initial public offering, Wirecard executed a reverse IPO. They merged with a defunct call center group already listed on the stock market, instantly becoming a public company, while sidestepping early financial scrutiny. Picture a digital toll bridge. When a consumer buys shoes online, their money travels across this bridge to the merchant. Every time a transaction crosses, the operator extracts a fee. Wirecard took a microscopic cut from millions of these daily crossings. Processing payments is a highly commoditized, low-margin business. But for Braun and Marsalek, this complex digital infrastructure served as the camouflage necessary to hide massive financial fabrications from the outside world. Faced with investor demands for exponential growth, Wirecard aggressively shifted its focus toward emerging Asian markets. This expansion relied on a structure known as third-party acquirers, or TPAs. TPAs are independent local companies authorized to process financial transactions on behalf of a larger network. Wirecard told investors that they lacked the proper banking licenses to operate directly in jurisdictions like Singapore, Dubai, and the Philippines, necessitating these partnerships. Wirecard claimed they outsourced their regional transactions to these local partner companies. According to their financial statements, these partners processed the payments and held Wirecard's share of the cash in offshore escrow accounts. An escrow account is a temporary pass-through account held by a neutral third party during a transaction. Think of the TPA system like a logistics network. Wirecard claimed they were a global shipping hub, hiring local delivery trucks to run routes in foreign cities. These local drivers would deliver packages, collect payments, and hold cash on Wirecard's behalf. The scale of this outsourced network was staggering. Eventually, half of Wirecard's entire global revenue, and they built a financial black box located thousands of miles away, ensuring that European auditors could not easily verify the contents inside. To deceive their own auditors and maintain the illusion of growth, Wirecard moved their money in endless, dizzying circles. They aggressively executed a buy-and-build strategy, purchasing smaller payment processing companies across Asia at highly inflated prices. This acquisition spree was designed to mask their lack of organic business growth. In one instance, Wirecard announced the acquisition of an Indian payments group for 340 million euros. Yet an examination of the corporate filings later revealed that 175 million euros of that purchase to the sellers. To justify these massive valuations and hide the missing funds, the executives utilized a deceptive accounting trick known as round-tripping. Round-tripping is a scheme where a company sells an unused asset to another company while simultaneously agreeing to buy back the same or similar assets for about the same price. You can visualize round-tripping through a simple analogy. Imagine three friends standing in a circle. The first friend passes a $10 bill to the second passes it to the third, and the third passes it right back to the first. If they pass that exact same $10 bill 100 times, they generate a written ledger showing $1,000 of economic activity, even though no new value was created. Wirecard functioned as an accounting illusionist, recycling capital through offshore subsidiaries to artificially inflate revenue and prop up its stock price. This raises a critical question. How did top auditing firm Ernst & Young and Germany's Federal Financial Supervisory Authority, BaFin, fail to notice billions of euros moving in circles? BaFin is the independent federal regulator responsible for the supervision of banks, financial services providers, and insurance companies in Germany. Ernst & Young routinely failed to directly contact the foreign banks to independently verify the cash held in those Asian escrow accounts. Instead, the auditors consistently accepted forged bank statements and letters that were handed directly to them by senior Wirecard executives. Meanwhile, BaFin suffered from severe regulatory capture. Regulatory capture is an economic theory where regulatory agencies become dominated by the industries or interests they are charged with regulating. German authorities viewed Wirecard as a national technology champion that required protection from foreign critics. BaFin's actions mirrored a corrupt sports referee. While independent journalists stood on the sidelines waving red flags and presenting evidence of rule-breaking, the referee actively penalized the whistleblowers while allowing the star player to steal the trophy. When the Financial Times published evidence of the fraud in 2019, BaFin did not launch a probe into Wirecard's accounting. Instead, they took the extraordinary step of banning the short selling of Wirecard stock in a deliberate attempt to prop up the company's share price. The regulatory failure went even further. German authorities formally launched criminal market manipulation investigations into the financial journalists who broke the story, Dan McCrum and Stefania Palma, treating the reporters as the primary threat. The Wirecard scandal demonstrates that official watchdogs charged with protecting the public will actively defend a profitable illusion to preserve their own credibility. Knowing they had the protection of regulators, Wirecard deployed aggressive intimidation tactics against short sellers and journalists to maintain their cover-up. The company financed a network of shadowy operatives. They utilized hackers for hire to target critics, positioned private detectives outside the Financial Times office in London, and they even enlisted the former head of Libyan foreign intelligence to run elaborate sting operations against the investigating reporters. The turning point in the investigation came from the inside, relying on the courage of an internal whistleblower named Pav Gill. As Wirecard's senior legal counsel overseeing the Asia-Pacific region from Singapore, Gill had direct access to the raw corporate data. Gill secured 70 gigabytes of damning internal data, providing them directly to the Financial Times. This massive leak proved definitively that senior Wirecard executives in Asia were actively and deliberately backdating contracts and forging invoices. Wirecard possessed capital to buy off private spies and political influence to manipulate the national regulators. However, they could not permanently silence the digital paper trail left behind by their own crimes. In June 2020, an independent KPMG audit revealed that the massive offshore profits simply could not be verified by anyone. On June 25th, the facade shattered. Wirecard management publicly admitted that 1.9 billion euros were missing from their trust accounts and immediately filed for insolvency. They became the first member of the elite DAX 30 index to ever collapse in such a manner. The immediate financial devastation was immense. Over 20 billion euros in investor wealth was vaporized overnight, wiping out the life savings of ordinary retail investors who had trusted the endorsements of the German government. Authorities moved swiftly on the executive board. CEO Markus Braun was arrested by German police and indicted on criminal charges, including commercial gang fraud, embezzlement, and market manipulation. The implosion of the company proved that mathematical reality will eventually assert itself. Years of fabricated momentum were destroyed in a matter of days once the actual cash balances were checked. But Chief Operating Officer Jan Marsalek executed a dramatic escape. Just days before his arrest warrant was formally issued, Marsalek boarded a private jet and vanished, fleeing through Belarus to seek safe haven in Russia. In a shocking geopolitical twist, investigative reporters subsequently uncovered that Marsalek had cultivated long-standing ties to the GRU. The GRU is the Foreign Military Intelligence Agency of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation. Marsalek allegedly weaponized Wirecard's global infrastructure for espionage. He is accused of using the payment network to process funds for Russian shadow operations in conflict zones and leveraging corporate data to expose the identities of undercover European police officers to hostile intelligence agencies. Back in Berlin, the German government faced a severe legal reckoning. To rebuild fractured global trust in their markets, lawmakers were forced to overhaul their financial oversight framework. In 2021, Parliament passed the Financial Market Integrity Strengthening Act, known as the FISC. The FISC is a comprehensive regulatory reform law designed to tighten corporate governance and expand the investigative authority of financial watchdogs. This legislation granted regulators the direct, unilateral power to conduct forensic audits, execute searches, and seize evidence from listed companies without waiting for third-party approvals. The $28 billion deception illustrates how the prioritization of national technology growth over rigorous oversight can compromise a country's entire financial integrity.